Hi friends, it's your bookish bestie Layla here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I thought I would go over my April hopefuls list. We call it a hopefuls here because, you know, TBR sounds so strict and I don't want to beat myself up if I don't finish all the books on it. So with that being said, we call it hopefuls because it is more loose and it's a book that we hope to get to. First of all, let me just set this up and say that I am a Virgo and your girl be loving lists. Very stereotypical Virgo of me. So yes, I do like to make these videos and I make lists on my phone and my notes, and I usually have like different little subsections. I'll share a screenshot here, especially like with it being empty and me not having read any of the books yet. So I have a few different subsections here. I have like my main list of like the priority books that I really want to get to. I have my contingency list, which is like if I want to give myself a mood reader moment, I will try and pick from those books. I have my book of the month list because I need to catch up with the challenge. The past few months of the year, I've been reading a few book of the month books here and there, but I'm a little behind for where I would like to be, which the challenge is to read 30 books in the year, and I've read like maybe 4 or 5. And I have my list of arcs. Now, I don't have to read all of them. I probably should, but if I can read at least more than half of them, I will be happy. I like reading books and reviewing them on NetGalley. It's really fun. I also love just discovering books and like discovering books before they get popular. Sometimes it can like skew and bias your opinion if you see a book and you're like, oh, this is really popular. And I like to read it ahead of the time. That way I can form my own opinion without getting like the bias in. As much as I love book recommendations, I am also on the opposite end of that sometimes. Like, how hipster of me, I know. I thought we could first go off of my like for sure hopefuls list and the books that I really want to get to. And the first book on this list is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. This is my book of the month pick from March, and I've seen so many people talk about this. It's a really quick looking book, so again, I'm hoping that I can read. This also has a lot of tropes that I've heard about that I feel like I would love. We also have a lot of releases from the last couple months. I have a few of them here. And the first is Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I have loved all of Elsie Silver's other books. I feel like this will be no exception and that I will love this. So definitely adding this in to the hopefuls. I also have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, which again, another one I'm surprised that I didn't pick up because Ali Hazelwood is one of my auto-buy favorite romance authors. Another new release that I got on release day. Was so excited to run home and start, and had things that I need to do instead that took priority, so I didn't get to start it. And it just ended up going on my April hopefuls because I didn't have time to finish it, but it is, if you couldn't already guess, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I love the Hunger Games books. Those are some of my favorite books of all time. I just really love that series. I think it is so brilliantly done. And I also think that the movie adaptations are some of the best book to movie adaptations that are out there. So I am really excited to read this, although I will say, I know that there is going to be a ton of pain in this. I'm going to need to read like a romance book before, and then read this, and then read another romance book probably afterwards to like reset so that I don't go into a reading slump. Recently, as I'm filming this, I've read so many books that are really heavy fantasy. Like the last 3 books have all been so heavy. I finished Kingdom of Ash and it was like the end with all the battle scenes. I also finished The Wall of Ascension, and guess what? A lot of battle scenes at the end. And I also finished Realm Breaker, which again, lots of battle scenes. I need a romance novel to like reset before I start reading this, but I definitely want to read this soon. Next up, we have a sequel to a book that I read in February that I did not get to the sequel for, and that is The Mirror of Beasts by Alexandra Bracken, which is the sequel to Silver in the Bone, which is an Arthurian-inspired tale. And I love Arthurian-inspired tales. I really loved Silver in the Bone. I thought that it was such a fun book, and it ended on such a cliffhanger that I wanted to get the second book read. I just didn't have time last month. Also in theme with the Arthurian legends, I have the first book, Legendborn by Tracy Dion. It's the first in a series of like 4 books. I know Oathbound just came out and I've heard everyone rave about this book, so obviously I want to read this. It has been on my shelf and my TBR for a little bit now. I have this one and the second book. What is the second book in the series? I think the second book is Bloodborne, if I'm not mistaken. I have that on my shelf as well, and I think in my book of the month for April, I'm adding Oathbound as an add-on. The last book for my hopefuls is Fearless by Lauren Roberts, the third book in the Powerless trilogy. I do not have it on hand because as I'm filming this, it has not been released yet, and the release date is April 8th. I don't know if you'll see this before April 8th. Hopefully you will. We'll see. I am super excited for that book to come out. I have loved the Powerless trilogy thus far. The first 2 books have been so good, and I need to know how the series ends, especially after the cliffhanger. Next up, we have my contingency list. So these are books that if I want to have a mood reader moment for, I can pull from this stack. And the first book is a book that I got from Romanticycon, and I got signed by the author, and it is A Rivalry of Hearts by Tessania Odette. Now this is a Regency Fae romance, 2 of my favorite things. Love Regency and like Bridgerton vibes, and I love Fae. What more could I ask for? The cover of this book is so perfect for spring and giving all the spring vibes with all the pink flowers. It's just so pretty. Also, I believe under the book cover has a really cute cover as well. This is the naked hardback. So yeah, I would really like to read this. If I don't read this month, then it is for sure going on my main hopefuls list for May. Next up, we have Daughter of the Siren Queen, which is the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I read this book in February when I was preparing again for Romanticycon, and I just really loved that book, and I really wanted to read this book. I was at my parents' house for a while and I didn't have the second book with me, but you know, when I came home, I was like, I'm going to add this to my hopefuls for April, and guess what I'm doing? Adding it to my contingency hopefuls for April. It's also a fairly short book. I will say, like, looking at this list, a lot of these books are on the shorter end, which is great. I will probably more than likely be able to read more of them if they're on the shorter end. I also have another book. Okay, this is probably a book that should have gone in my like for sure. However, this next book is a buddy read, and when I was initially talking about this with my friend Audrey, who I'm buddy reading this with, we were mid-March and I didn't know if I was going to read this in March or in April, just depending on when we got to it. And it is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone, another book of the month, so yay! I have one more contingency hopefuls book because it's a series that I wanted to start, and I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on said series, but it is the first Zodiac Academy book. I have the book on my Kindle, which is great because those are really big books, so I like reading really big books on the Kindle. I read them so much faster, and it's easier on the eyes to read on the Kindle. I have a list of series on my phone that I would like to start this year, and that is on that list. Now we're getting into it. So, my third part of my hopefuls TBR list is my book of the month books because, again, I need to get caught up on that challenge. And I will say this, I was going through my to be read list on StoryGraph because this is how I'm like also formulating my hopefuls list. Every month I only put the books that I would like to read for that month on my to read list. I don't add books willy-nilly. I try and be very intentional about it. So I am trying to catch up. Currently, I have like 17 books from January through March that I have not read, and I'm going to only add the books that are on the For Sure Hopefuls list and books that I read. But a lot of these picks from the book of the month, other than Ready or Not and Our Infinite Fates, are books that I've already had on my hopefuls lists for the past few months, but I would like to still read them. So those books are, and this first book that I'm going to show is the Fairy Loot edition, not the book of the month edition, but it is The Courting of Bristol Keats. How pretty is this? This is by Mary E. Pearson, and I've heard a lot of good things about this, and I will say this seems very much up my alley. I also have 3 others. So I have Survive the Night by Riley Sager, 4 Weekends and a Funeral by Ellie Palmer, and probably another one of my most anticipated books from Book of the Month, The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I don't know if I'll get to all of these books, but I would like to try to catch up with my Book of the Month list. And again, if I don't get to them in April, I'm probably just gonna add them to May. The last leg or section of this hopefuls list is the arcs that I have on NetGalley. Now, I currently have 8 arcs that I need to read, and I try and read at least half of what I have every month, or like I said before, at least 5. I space them out and I try and read them by their publishing date, which I found out recently that I probably shouldn't do that. It's like the date that you download them by, but I don't know. I guess I've been doing it wrong this whole time. I just tried to do it by the date that they were published. These are all e-arcs, so they're on the Kindle. I do, however, have a physical copy of one of my arcs, and that is not because I was sent it or got it from the publisher. It is simply because it was in my Fairy Loot box, and it is Cruel is the Light, and this is by Sophie Clark. Also, we must appreciate the Fairy Loot edition. I don't know if I'll actually read this or read the actual e-arc. I'll probably read it, but like I also would like to read a Fairy Loot book. I haven't actually read any of them physically, although I have a couple of them that I've read and I've just gotten them because they're special editions, but we'll see. I have so many books too that I have like bookmarked for like, should I request them? And then I'm like, I gotta read some of these before I request any more, because it has become a hobby of mine to just look through NetGalley, like stuff that's been recently released, and request things. And now that I have so many, and then I also have like so many books on top of what I need to read, like, or what I want to read, I'm just like, I need to not request books on NetGalley. But I'm going to list them off and put a picture of them somewhere. The first book I have is Tenderly I Am Devoured by Lyndall Clipstone. And then I have Cruel is the Light, which I was talking about, obviously. I have Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. I saw an Instagram post about this book from either the publisher or the author, and I wanted it so bad and was so intrigued. And then when I saw it was on NetGalley, and I think it was Read Now, I like downloaded that super quick. I have Hit Me With Your Best Charm by Lily Vale, which is going to be like a witchy romance. I love witchy romances. I have The South Wind by Alexandria Warwick, and I have some of her other books, I believe, in that series on my TBR somewhere. I believe that they're all interconnected standalones, but even if they're not, then I'll just get the other books and read them first. Ooh, I'm really excited for this one because I've seen a lot about it, and it is Thorn Season by Kira Azar. I have seen a lot about it, and again, it seems very much in my realm of I would like to read it. Next up we have Ladies in Hating by Alexandra Vasti, which I did read one of her books on NetGalley. I read Earl Crush by Alexandra Vasti at the end of last year, like around that time, and it was so good. I loved it, and this is the next book in that series, so I would like to read it. The last book on this list is an ARC that I just applied for, and it was Read Now, and it is The Weaver Bride by Lydia Gregovic. I hope I said that right, Gregovic? I saw that it was Read Now, and the premise sounded super intriguing. It was like a bachelor type of situation, but with magic, and I read both, and I was like, say less. I would like to read this. So that concludes my hopefuls list / TBR that is astronomically long, but I like to think that I could read that many books, even though when I had both all of January and February off, I was not able to read that many books. But you know what? The intention is there, and I'm trying. But I will also say that in January and February, I had some really, really long books on the TBR. And a lot of these books are on the shorter end of the spectrum or scale when I compare it to all the giant big fantasy books. So we shall see. If it's a shorter book, I could probably read a few books, at least on my days off or like slow work nights. So we'll see. What is on your hopefuls or TBR for April? Let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear what everyone's reading. I'm always looking for more books to add to my mountain, because let us be so for real, it is no longer a TBR pile, it is a TBR mountain. Me looking at my whole bookshelf, that is all TBR. I need to go on like some type of challenge. I need to do some type of like TBR jar challenge or like something, because I have literally a whole bookshelf of books that I haven't read, and I have a lot of piles. Like I need to get another tall bookshelf. And I have a TBR cart. So what I was doing is I was putting books from my TBR bookshelf onto the TBR cart and like shuffling things around. But I feel like things still aren't moving fast enough because there's been a lot of new releases. I don't know. I also need to do an unhauling of books that I probably won't be reading anymore. So if I do that, stay tuned, because I'll probably share that process here. Anyways, enough rambling. I hope you guys have a lovely day or night or whenever you're watching this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends.